Tech University. Shane and his family own Myers Show Cattle, where he offers an array of services from hoof trimming, consulting, clipping, and fitting, as well as sell show cattle. Over the last decade, Shane and his family have operated an educational youth steer show series in Texas called Battle of the Cattle. In 2021, they put on the Patriot Junior Market Steer Show that drew 1,700 steers. Then in July of 2021, they also hosted the first Show Steer Junior Nationals. Each summer, they also host a scholarship academy where they help 300 plus exhibitors improve their showmanship skills. Shane has judged many shows across the country, including state fairs in Colorado, Wisconsin, Kansas, New Mexico, Georgia, New York, Cattlemen's Congress, Houston Livestock Show, and the National Western in Denver. Please welcome Mr. Shane Myers. We're going to begin with Class 1 Market Steers. We have Trip Lipsy, Bentley Petit, Tank Andrews, Weston Willis, Eli Petit, and Sidney Spear.
Well, it's good to be here in Leon County this afternoon to sort through your market steer show again. And what a wonderful way to start off your market steer show. And there's a lot of give and take out here in this first class. Some things you got to compromise on to get your class winner. And probably if you could bring the first four and kind of combine those four together, take the good and the differences in those cattle and combine those, you'd have an outstanding animal. But white steer here is going to win the class. I thought from a standpoint of just some structural integrity at the ground, some look up through his front 1/3, some extra muscle and rib and shape. I think that calf exceeds this class. Now, where he troubles me a little bit is in his top line when we ask him to go. Underneath, as far as his feet and legs, he hits his stride really well. I wish he was a little more comfortable and more relaxed in his top line. I'd have made that decision just a little better for me. And I want to walk him one more time and get off and look at the cattle. I think he's too bold in his rib and too much muscle in his back. And when you get in behind him, he's one of the heavier structured cattle out here in terms of forearm, bone, muscle, and look. I think that's where we kind of had to start. The calf in second. The longer he's out here and the more we move him around, I think he's more agile than you first give him credit for. I do like his top line, his underline. He balances up really good. Young man does an outstanding job of getting this one presented to his capability each and every time. This calf gives you a good look. Like his forerib, like his balance, like his underline. Handles really smooth. A calf that's very fresh in terms of his appearance. Stouting that one up just a little bit more from behind, and I think that makes that top pair a little closer than it really was. So next pair of cattle, 3 and 4 for me, if you want to bring those up just a little bit more. Really challenging here for me to place these two because I like a lot of things about both the cattle. Chose to go with one that I think feels just a little more market ready at this stage in the game. I'd like to just tone him down a little bit in his chest floor, but when you put your hands on him, there's more power, there's more rib, there's more condition, there's more muscle, there's more bone, more body, and just more substance to that calf. Now, I'll give you, he's not near as attractive and well-balanced as the calf in right behind him, but from a market standpoint, I think he's one that he needs to stay in the top 3, his extra added power and dimension that he has in terms of muscle, rib, and bone. Like the look and design of the calf that comes next to the young man's white baldy steer, really sound, really good in terms of his structure and his top line. His underline gives you a really cool look from the side. He's very fresh and feminine in terms of his overall design. You give that one more power and just husky him up a little bit, we can move that one up quite a bit. Same could almost be said about the young man gray steer here. I like a lot of things about this calf, and God, he's really good built out as over his top and his tail head. Really has a good front end about him. He's just a little raw yet and greener in his condition. Just gets a little pinch right in there behind his back. But boy, that's a good quality steer. Just needs more condition. Young man comes in here one next. You can tell this one had the makings of being a really good one. Like the boldness over his back and top side of his skeleton. Big-footed steer. He's bold in the center part of his body cavity. He's got some extra extension up through his front end. Just need to change that one's running gear. You change that one on his feet and legs, and you probably get a couple more places out of that one. Young man did a nice job of getting this one fed and tended to. Give these kiddos a big round of applause on a job well done on your first class.
All right, our next class, Class 2, will be Jolie Martin, Jeffrey Duck, Cody Walker, Daly Stanton, and Hayden Duck. Class 3, make your way to the show ring. Class 3 will be Legend of Sonny, Laramie Petit, Timber Adams, Cotton Wood, and Addison Cypress.
we dive into Class 2 here. I think really exceptional set of not only market steers, but of these young people out here doing an outstanding job of getting these things presented at a very extremely high level. But I think a white steer here that the young lady brings out here is one you can latch on to quite handily. He's one that I think just puts a lot of things together in terms of a show steer and his market readiness in terms of his boldness and extra muscle, but still puts it together in a really good look. That one's so neat and clean and chiseled up through his front 1/3. His angles are good from knee to shoulder. He's got good reach when we ask him to go. He's just really soft and good in terms of his condition, but still gives you a very crisp look from the side, which is always hard to kind of get that happy medium, and I think that one there just puts a lot of good things together. I like the way that one just gets presented each and every time. I thought the one that was most like him next in class is the young man's yellow steer. He's the one probably from chest to flank, balances up next to Beth, who put it in motion. I think he's one that's the next coordinated in terms of his feet and legs and mobility. I think in terms of some power, some market readiness in terms of condition, and just terms of balance and look and structural integrity, I thought he was next best in this lineup. Now he's not going to blow you away in one certain area, but I thought in terms of smoothness, look, design, and still relatively good looking show steer with some market readiness, I think he best fit that top pair really good. I didn't think it was that close between the top pair, but I thought he was next best out here. Really good calf to go second. Third and fourth, I thought was probably the placing of the cattle because there's some differences in these cattle, and once this black one kind of gets relaxed and gets set, there's no doubt in terms of the yield grade, he's going to be off the charts because that is a heavy muscled rascal there that young man's got. Tons of shape and back and loin in that calf. You get behind him, I mean, he may, I doubt if we'll see one this heavy muscle through here, but just a little bit harder in his forerib and his rear flank in relation to the cattle right in front of him. And I think when we put him in motion, you know, it's hard to pack that much muscle on him and get him just walk ideal from behind. But that's where you'd like to improve that calf, is just bring him inside his skeleton just a little bit more. But boy, from a look and a design standpoint, extra muscle in that calf, one you really have to appreciate. Like the extra added softness with the calf that comes in next. I like his structure in terms of the mobility about him. You know, one that I think we could just balance it up from the underline and top line in that calf and maybe just give him just a little more extension up through that front 1/3 in relation to the cattle right in front of him. But a good, practical, good feeding calf that's got some marketability about him in terms of his condition. I like that shape. Balance that one up and extend it up through his front 1/3. I think we can make that pair a little bit closer. Red and white steer here, you appreciate a lot of things about him because this is a tough class out here. A bold built steers, extra heavy structured at the ground. He's starting there. He's got some depth in terms of his rib. He balances up good from the side. He's a little extra long in relation to some of the other cattle, and so he kind of loses just a little bit of shape and crispness over his back, and when you get behind him, one that's got just a little bit of, you know, I didn't even ask the young man what it is, but I've seen that before. It might just be some swelling, it might be an abscess or a bruise, but it doesn't take away from his structure. Just notice it. But a calf that's maybe not as fresh and neat looking up through his chest and his head and his neck as the cattle in front of him, but you got to appreciate that one for his extra heaviness in terms of bone work and rib. Outstanding class, second class of cattle here at Leon County. Let's give these young people a nice round of applause.
Results of Class 2. First place, Daley Stanton. Second place, Hayden Duck. Third, Cody Walker. Fourth, Jolie Martin. And fifth, Jeffrey Duck. Now we're going into Class 3. Will be Legend Pistoni, Laramie Petit, Kimber Adams, Cotton Wood, and Addison Cypress.
really outstanding class of market steers out here, and a little bit of give and take up here, but I thought these two cattle kind of set themselves apart from the rest of the field, not taking anything as a good class from end to end, but two cattle that got really good attractive look off from the side, and the way I read the solid red steer is he's just bolder and stouter right in behind his blades in the center part of his body cavity. He's huskier built from the side. He's got some extra shape and muscle in him, and he's as wide in his hip as he is in his stifle. He carries it very good in terms of how he moves when you track that one from behind. He stays inside his skeleton. I know he doesn't make a perfect reach each and every time, but I think it's close enough for that much power and this overall mass that he has. Still relatively fresh in terms of his appearance and his neck and his chest. I think that's good quality cattle here to win this particular class. Just really bold, and from a market standpoint, I think he fits the bill really good. The Hereford steer pushes him around the ring the whole time because here's one that you really need to appreciate. For as good as he handles over his back and over his ribs, he's really fresh and crisp up through his front 1/3 in terms of his chest. His front 1/3, his neck, his head, a calf that still has an overwhelmingness about his freshness. You put that calf in motion, and I really like the way that one covers his stride. You want to get nitpicky, maybe just gets a nickel straight from his shoulder to his knee at the standstill, but there's no denying that one's balance at the ground in terms of his chest floor, his center body cavity, his rear flank, handles his back really good, wide in terms of his loin and the upper part of his skeleton. He didn't give up much muscle from the red one. He's just not quite as bold and husky from behind his shoulders all the way through in terms of his center body cavity. Two really good cattle to go 1 and 2. Like the white steer a lot, and he kind of falls here because he's one that just is practical in his type and kind. He's sound. I like the slope to his shoulder and his knee. I like the top design and his passion. I think that one is really fresh in terms of his look. I like his center and lower body cavity. He just gives up a little bit of power when you start studying that one from a rear view and a 3/4 view in terms of the cattle right in front of him. He's not as bold and shapely designed over his back and his center body cavity, and he's definitely just a little bit flatter when we get in behind him. But the upside of that cattle, he's soft, he's easy doing, he's a good fresh steer to come in next. Next pair of cattle, there's some give and take, and I think structure kind of keeps them from going up any higher in the class, but I thought from just a completeness, like the gray steer, just a nickel better. He's smoother in his shoulder. He's nicer and just blade in there a little better in terms of his back and top shape. Like his underline and center body cavity. Maybe just gives you a little bit better look from the side. He could go just a little bit better, and we could just tone that one in just a little bit on his front 1/2. But boy, that's a good calf from the side that balances up really good, and that's why he's standing where he is. Big, stout, structured steer from the ground. One if you're just going to throw some terms at him. He's big-footed. He's stout in his forearm. He's a big-bodied steer. We just need to make all that stuff kind of fit together. He wants to get a little straight and bigger in his hock and his knee. Just smooth that one up in his lower shoulder and just make that one go a little bit better. I'd like to give that one just a little more shape at the top side of the skeleton. Good in terms of his lower body. You appreciate the extra power that one brings. Young lady, you do an outstanding job of getting that one presented. Congratulations all these exhibitors. Let's give them a nice round of applause.
Results of Class 3, first place, Addison Cypress. Second place, Legend Pistoni. Third place, Timber Adams. Fourth place, Cottonwood. Fifth place, Laramie Petit. Now we're ready for Class 4, Kaylin Ezel, Weston Duck, Patty Taylor, Gus Brewer, and Luke Vitanza. Class 5, make your way to the show ring. Lily Bosley, Heidi Cypress, Ramsey Terry, Edie King, and Kenzie Walker.
just a nickel better in terms of his forerib and his rear flank. I like his extra stature in terms of his bone, and I think in terms of just a look and design, he's the one that balances up a lot. The calf that comes in third, here's one that I do appreciate a lot of things about him, because boy, is he big over his back and big over his loin. He's extremely huge right in his hip set. I like the shape that he gives you from the side. He gets just a nickel straight in terms of his shoulder and his knee for me, and if he would just be just a little more collected off those rear two and handle that rump and loin just a little bit better, I don't have a problem switching that pair, but that's kind of the deciding factor on there. He's not standing under quite as much power and bone, but two good cattle to go 2 and 3. Young man's black still here. Here's one that I think in terms of structure, he is ahead of the calf right in behind him. One that just is a little green in terms of his condition, forward and flank in relation to the cattle right in front of him. You got to appreciate his usefulness up through his front 1/3. Actually, honorary out here, young man doing a good job. Here's a calf from the standstill. You appreciate the extra boldness that he has. He's stout in terms of his muscle and his rib and his bone work. You can tell he's just got a little bit older and arthritic in terms of his joints, and he's wanting to just labor off of that. It's a shame for that, because that's a calf that's actually got a lot of unique pieces of him. He just probably just a little past his prime, but a good calf. Young man, you've done a nice job of getting that one shown and presented. Let's give that class an outstanding round of applause. Tough set of cattle to sort through.
Okay, results of Class 4. First place, Kaylin Ezel. Second place, Hattie Taylor. Third, Gus Brewer. Fourth, Weston Duck. And fifth, Luke Vitanza. Now we're going into Class 5, Lily Bosley, Heidi Cyprick, Ramsey Terry, Edie King, and Kinsey Walker.
We'll leave it for the last class to be the most challenging but very enjoyable to come out here and sort this cattle with these young people, because I think all these young people do an outstanding job of getting these cattle presented at a very high level. And we're definitely the heavier weight cattle here at the show. So there's some give and take when, as a show judge, when you come out here and start sorting these cattle. I think from a power standpoint, they're all relatively powerful enough in terms of rib and just overall mass. So when you get past that, try to keep some structural integrity about them, trying to keep some freshness about them, and still kind of get that look and that design of that show steer look. And I think this young man, you told me his name was Iceman? Yeah, there you go. He's got a cool name. A cool mark steer, a silver baldy, one that you appreciate. I think where he just excels in this class is his freshness. He's one that's laid in good in his shoulder. He's neat in his chest. I like that one up through his front 1/3. He's very smooth. When that one transitions from his lower shoulder to the top side of his blade, all the way from front to rear, that one is an ultra smooth calf. You like that one in his forerib, his rear flank. He's good at the ground. I think he's more than adequate in terms of muscle. And once we're getting out here with the rest of the class winners, let's see how he stacks up with them. But boy, you talk about one that is just fresh to look at, ultrasound, like his angle, shoulder, knee, hop, passion. I think that one put together, balances up really good. Young lady, you do a nice job of getting that one presented each time. The red steer, when they walked in here, I'm not going to lie to you, I thought that was your class winner. And he still, there's a lot of things I like about that calf. God, is he's stout over his back and just his loin and just how heavy muscled he is. He's a leaner calf in terms of just his raw condition, but still with some extra added mass about him. Just a little more masculine in terms of his head and his neck for me. Maybe just like to soften that one up in terms of his forerib and rear flank, and just let him go a little better off those rear teeth, especially the offside leg. But boy, that's a good calf. I thought he needed to stay in that top pair because of his look, covering his mass that he has. Still gives you a good show steer look. Nice pair of cattle to go 1-2. Next pair of cattle I thought was close here because there's some trade-offs with these cattle. But from a standpoint of structural integrity, look and design, balance, depth of rib, here's one that I thought needed to go next in this particular lineup. A big bone, big footed steer, got some extra depth of body about him. He's long and extended up through his front end, ties in high and nice over the top side of his blade, out through his neck and his head. Square, maybe not just as shapely at the top and center part of his skeleton and his rib design, behind to get him up any higher in his class, but his foot size, his bone, his structural integrity, his balance keeps him up here in the top part of the class. I like a lot of things about this steer, and I went back and studied him a couple of different times because he's unique. If you study this calf in terms of over his blades, over his back, and his muscle shape, I like a lot of things about that one because, boy, the top middle part of that one's skeleton is so good. His tail has laid in there good. I like his design when you study that one from behind. And when you get off the side of him, you know, his condition may be as ideal as anything we've run out here. He's still good and fresh in his chest, and I think he's full in his forerib, and his length and balances up really good. Where I'd like to change that one is at the angle of the front and rear legs, and when we put him in motion, he just wants to get a little bit stiff on each end. But that one's middle part of the skeleton on up, I think he's really, really good. Boy, this steer here, I think he's just a nickel past his prime, and you can kind of tell that out here. There's those run-ins wanting to get a little easy on him, but boy, you could tell one day that was a really, really good one. Stout structure steer, tons of muscle about him. We changed that shoulder and that front leg. We can move that one up. Young lady, you do a nice job of getting that one put together. Those kind are hard to show, but outstanding way to round out our classes here at Leon County. Let's give those young people a big round of applause.
To Class 5, first place, Heidi Seifert. Second place, Edie King. Third, Ramsey Terry. Fourth, Kenzie Walker. And fifth, Liz Bosley. Okay, now we're going to be bringing back in our first place. Class 1 is Eli Petit. Second class, J.V. Stanton. Third class, Addison Seifert. Fourth class, Caitlin Ezel. And fifth class, Heidi Seifert. Second place, be on standby. Third class is Hank Andrews, Hayden Duck, Legend Pistoni, Hattie Taylor, and Edie King.
Well, as we get in conclusion of our Market Series show here at Leon County, what a privilege and an honor it's been to come back here. I got to judge it last year and was just thoroughly impressed with the quality of not only the livestock, but you young people, the volunteers, and just everybody that you get a ton of support when you come to these shows like this. And don't take it for granted, because it's not like this everywhere. We are very fortunate in the state of Texas that so many small town communities come together and support the youth of America. And so you young people and you parents and everybody involved, keep track of the big picture, because that's what it's about, supporting these young people and encouraging them to go on and do bigger and better things as they get older in life. So an outstanding set of cattle. I'll hit the highlights of these cattle. We had 5 really outstanding classes. I think we had 26, 25 head. We started it out with a bang in our lightweight. I thought we had one that had some extra look, some extra muscle. Just like to soften that one up in the top line, but a really good calf. A really show steer calf that come out of the second class, neat and trim up through his front end, crisp over his back, good muscle. Like to see that one go just a little better off his rear too. He's wanting to labor just a little bit to get him out here. But boy, that's a good looking one. That young lady does a good job of getting that one presented. Red calf, bold and stout and powerfully constructed from the forehead and center body all the way back. A good steer there. I think he's very deserving of that class winner. Coming to one that I thought that just landed on a tough class, an extra powerhouse that puts a lot of structural integrity, look, and design. And then we got to close out on a young lady's calf that had some freshness and youthfulness for a heavyweight class and still had some structural integrity and cleanness about the joints. The seconds were really good. Young man second out of the first class one. I just need a little more power to get around the one that won the class. Like his look and design, like the softness of the rib and soundness of the one that come out of the second class. This Hereford, he's probably one of the few British cattle that came out here today, but he held his own. Young man, you do a nice job. That's a flat back, good square hip steer. Lots of good things about him. Maybe just not as masculine right in behind his blades and over his back as some of them around him, but boy, he's one that you like, a real good big-footed, stout, built steer that you appreciate it come out of that next to last class. One that I just think you can appreciate a lot of things about him in terms of extra rib and mass that he presents from the side. Red and white steer that come out of the last class there. Talked about his boldness and his stoutness over his back and his rib. Just one that maybe like to soften up when we compare him to his class winner. But boy, let's give these young people that made it out here, but not only that made it out here, that got to show here, let's give them a big round of applause. Now, I won't say a whole lot in terms of the grand speech, but I just want to say that I still think that there's no better way to raise your young people than in a stock show setting. And I think there's so many good things that come out of here. It's humbling in so many ways. And I think success and victory is everybody's got a different measuring stick. I know when our boys came along, there were times that we just wanted to survive in the show ring and hope the calf didn't get away too many times, and then there were times where, our expectations were a little higher. So everybody's got different standards, and depending on your program and where you are, and cattle, livestock feed differently nowadays than ever, and I trust me, I know firsthand how hard it is to get to this level. Even though this is a county show setting, I said it last year, well, you get to that top tier out here in this county, and they hold their own at any major stock show around the country. And I think you can go to any county show nowadays and know that top tier, they're good enough to play at the major shows. And just very good quality cattle, good quality people out here. I appreciate the opportunity to come out here and just work with you young people. And I'll say this, and I think you can say it anywhere across the nation, but especially in your county, I think the greatest commodity that we have to offer in this country is not the livestock, but it's the young people that show these livestock. That's the greatest commodity that we have to offer this youth of America. So if we'll keep pouring into those people and doing a good job, keep the Lord in everything. I always tell people this. It took me 50 years to understand this. Instead of worrying about it, just pray about it, and He'll take care of the rest. It's been a privilege. It's been an honor. Let's put your hands together for everybody involved with your Leon County show. I'll go get you a champion.
They will be bringing in Hattie Taylor. Our grand came out of Class 4, Kaylin Eagle. Our reserve came out of Class 3, Addison Cyclet. Now, for everyone, will take a few minutes, and I'm going to need all Class 4 winners to come back in the ring for sale orders from 16 to 26. We'll start with placing fourth, Weston Willis, Jolie Martin, Cottonwood, Weston Duck, and Kinsey Walker. When you come in the gate, they'll show you where to line up. Fifth place class winners will need to follow them. Class 1 was Bentley Petit. Class 2, Jeffrey Duck. Class 3, Cottonwood. Class 4, Weston Duck. And Class 5, Lily Bosley. Okay guys, let's go now. Weston Willis, Jolie Martin, Cottonwood, Weston Duck, and Kinsey Walker. Okay, we've got Weston and Lily Bosley again. Okay, then sixth place we had a Trip Lipsy. And he's only class 1, has 6 entries. Again, we'll be starting showmanship. As soon as we're finished with the sell order, we're going to start with the juniors. That is 3rd through 5th grade. We also will have
Well, it's always fun, kind of it's always a competitive level out here in showmanship, but sometimes after the show's over and you just kind of let the air out of yourself and you get out here and just visit with these kids a little bit, it's fun to kind of see what else sort of their hobbies they have and things they like to do and outside of showing livestock. So it's always fun. I like this age group. I think they're like a sponge. They absorb everything that you tell them and then they put their own translation on it, so it's always fun. So an outstanding set of 5 young junior showmen, to say the least. All 5 of these make this job incredibly challenging, but very fun to watch that these young people at a county show level are this advanced and this skilled in showmanship. So that's always fun to see. You know, as so many on the outside, you know, you help as you watch what these kids grow and get better at showmanship. Man, these guys got the fundamentals and skills and do really good. They told me we pick a reserve and a champion, so we're going to announce our reserve first. And I think there's all of these are in contention, but I think it's really close between 2. But this young man has done an outstanding job. With this Hereford series, he's going to be a reserve champion showman. Congratulations, bud. You've done a good job all day. Good calf. For your champion showman, she's done a really good job, and I actually remember her from last year. After she was out here last year, and she said yes, but her and old Iceman make one heck of a team. They're going to be champion showmen. Congratulations.
Junior showmanship, grand goes to Heidi Cypress, reserve goes to Legend Pistone. We're now ready for intermediate showmanship. That is 6th through 8th grade.
Well, we jump into the intermediate showman, and you know, having an advantage for me just being able to watch these kids in the regular show exhibit their livestock, and you see them come in another setting out here is always enjoyable because you know, you can kind of take a notice to the ones that really get their animals collected and can set up good, and this is always the most enjoyable age, not to take away from any of the other ones, but I thought that this age group of kiddos starting to develop their skill level and just kind of getting the fundamentals down just a little bit better, and where they can start taking it to the next notch, and you can tell that across the board out here, and what an outstanding set. And I think there's, you know, I think all of them are in contention, and I think that you get down to 3 or 4 of the top tier in this division, I think it gets really close. But for me, the young lady with the white steer, she's going to be your reserve champion showman. She shows that one's really difficult to show, and she keeps it put together each and every time, and I commend you for that. Good job. Congratulations, well deserved. And this young lady, she's had a heck of a day today, but she does a good job getting one stuck. This young lady with this red steer, congratulations, you're going to be champion intermediate showman.
Intermediate showman, grand is Addison Cyphers, reserve is Lily Bosley.
and enjoyable to judge your show again. And you know, there's nothing that warms my heart more than when you come out to these livestock shows and you see the fun competition amongst these young people. A lot of them are probably classmates or, you know, in sports together. I'm surprised, not really surprised, but so many of them, when you ask them what they like to do other than show livestock, we've got a lot of hunters and fishers out here, fishing people out here. So even got some duck hunters out here. So that's pretty neat to listen to what else they like to do. And that's neat because these young people, this is our future we're looking at. And so to see them well diverse in other things to do, that's really neat. So I think the worst thing about the senior showmanship, we're going to have to leave a few of them out because I think it's so competitive out here. A lot of these kids are very deserving, but as a show judge, you gotta narrow it down and pick the ones that put all the things together, not only out here that they did a good job, but also that they did a good job in their class. And you know, those were real good showmen that kind of just you would visualize those, and they do a good job. And once they come out here, like I said, we're going to have to leave a couple of you out, and y'all do a really, really good job, and I'm ultra impressed. Let's give this group a big round of applause as we go out here and select your reserve champion showman. This young man with this yellow cap here, he's going to be your reserve. Good job, bud. Congratulations. And then for your champion showman, this young lady's got this parked at 12 o'clock each and every time. She gets all she can out of them. She does an outstanding job. Young lady, you're very deserving of champion showman. Congratulations. Congratulations all of these kiddos.
Okay. Showmanship, grand goes to Jaylee Stanton, and reserve goes to Tank Andrews. We're now going to be adult showmanship. So if you have a calf, bring him to the gate. We're going to have to wait just a moment. We're going to take a few pictures with the judge.
fun and a little bit unscripted. And I don't know how many judges it takes to judge adult showmanship, but we're going to use 5. And so it's been fun getting these winners back out here, and they conversed out here, and I told them kind of partway through it, we're going to have to kind of pick up the pace a little bit, because some of these it's probably a little bit past their bedtime, and they'll need to get home and get to bed, so or get in that recliner. So, you know, we pick a reserve first and a champion, and I asked them if any of them wanted to say anything, but I'm going to let them talk a little bit. Tell me your name and where you're from.
I'm Lily, I'm from Buffalo. I'm Jalen, and I'm from Buffalo. I'm Addison, and I'm from Centerville. I'm Cinder, I'm from Centerville. I'm Heidi, and I'm from Centerville.
There you go. There's your judges for your adult showmen. If y'all want to, y'all go select your reserve champion showman. They did a really good job. Let's give our judges a big round of applause out here. They're picking it solely on their own. I did not have a say in it. So y'all go congratulate your reserve champion showman. I got a little drum roll. I don't even know who they're choosing. This could be a little scary. All right, there you go. All right, congratulations, that's your reserve. All right, now, drum roll, please. Here we go. Y'all select your grand champion adult showmanship. This is bragging rights for all year long in Leon County. Uh-oh, there we go. There you go. Congratulations, young man. Awesome job. It's always fun to do adult showmanship.
All right, grand showmanship, Travis Barrett, and reserve is Jacob Bosley.